asking you that a third time. Go to your home. Go to your home. Disperse and go to your home. Go to your respective home. I am warning you all. I am warning you all. Disperse and go to your respective homes. I am warning. Disperse. Go to your respective homes. You are involved in a riotous conduct. You are disrupting the public. So I am asking you to leave the public road and go to your respective home.
The police advising protesters in Kenfield earlier today. Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit is joining us live. Mr. Skerrit, good evening to you. Welcome to the program on DBS, of course, broadcast by Kyrie FM also. Good evening to you, Prime Minister Skerrit. Yeah, Prime Minister Skerrit, are you around? Right, so we don't have the Prime Minister on the line at the moment. Let's just remind you, tonight we will make contact with the Prime Minister again. Okay, right, we have him. Prime Minister,
you have me.
Good evening. Good evening.
Yeah, we are going to good evening to your listeners. You know, I was listening to the Jinping music earlier. and every time I hear Jinping music, I am always tempted to come out of retirement, you know, to come back into the national competition.
Yeah, well, one is...
You know, I danced many years in Independence time, you know, competition.
Yes, I'm sure we would have seen you on a few occasions.
And, it was in primary school and secondary school, you know.
And I'm sure the nation would be happy to see you again.
Sometimes, yeah. But first of all, thank you for having me on. You know, today was an eventful day, you know, and that's part of life, I guess, you know. And sometimes you have to prepare yourself for this and you know, understand that this is part of society and this is part of life sometimes. But first of all, I want to commend the police in the manner in which they conducted themselves and the extraordinary restraint which they demonstrated throughout the course of today. I mean, the reality is, if you were in the United States of America, or you were in France, or you were in the United Kingdom, as we saw with such protests, action would have been taken by the police very, very early. Once you get into a situation where you are impeding the movement of people and you are trampling on the rights of freedom of movement of people, then the police are obligated to intervene and to ensure that the rights of citizens are not trampled upon or not denied. People have to get to work, people have to get to school, people have to get to their businesses, people have to get from one health center to a hospital. So once you prevent that from happening, the police has a duty and obligation on the law to maintain law and order and ensure that the rights of citizens are protected. So the police could have acted in the manner which is required of them by law and by training. But as you saw through the day, they exercised tremendous restraint with the hope that the matter would have been resolved without the need to take any action that they're trained to do. Secondly, I also want to commend some of the executive members of the Tipper Truckers Association who I met today. I think Mr. Earl Loader and Mr. Anton Laville and the new president, Eric Emmanuel. And of course, Chris Walter was most of them today as well. And, you know, in principle, I am not at variance with the argument that they're making. I believe that the approach was wrong, but, you know, I'm not going to argue on the action that they took. But most citizens, anybody would certainly want to negotiate the best deal that they can get from a business relationship, and I think this is where the issue of contention is. What is the best deal they could get for themselves, in order to take advantage of the opportunities that are available, and of course, just to let you know that there is work. There is work on all of the sites, and in this case, they're talking about the airport and more specifically the transportation of cement from the Woodbridge Bay port to the airport site. As you know, we are utilizing a significant amount of cement because we have to mix cement with the soil for compacting so that it could dry faster because of the high level of water saturation in the soil. So to allow the soil to be properly compact, we're using a significant amount of cement. And so the cement has to be transported from Woodbridge Bay to the airport site. Now, as I understand it, the contractors offered the tipper truckers $48, I believe 52 cents a ton, right? The tipper truckers countered with $75 per ton, and the Chinese made a further offer of $60 per ton. And when I met with the Tipper Truckers Association executive today, they had gone up to $90 a ton. Okay? And I said to them, well, look, in negotiations, you always have to give and take. So what is the lowest you would accept per ton so that you can make the profit that you're looking at? And they indicated that they would get to $85 a ton minimum. So they will not go below $85 a ton. And I think so. The general understanding was anything between 85 and 90 would be reasonable for them, and it would be able to cover the cost and allow them to make something at the end of the day with regards to the service that they're providing on the airport site. Just to say, before I continue, we have truckers who are working on all of the government sites, the marina. Even the guy who I saw at the demonstration today, he's working on the marina in Portsmouth. The guys working on the cable car, the guys working on the geothermal project, the road projects, they're working work there. All of the transportation of construction materials from the suppliers to the housing sites across Dominica were transported by local truckers. They may not necessarily be members of the Tipper Truckers Association. We have to make that distinction because there are people who own trucks in Dominica and who are not members of the Tipper Truckers Association. So we have to understand that the Tipper Truckers Association is not representing everybody in Dominica who owns a truck or who owns trucks. So we have to have a distinction. I believe today, what happened today was a genuine move or decision on the part of the Tipper Truckers executive. But it was hijacked by certain, the elements. You saw it. So even after I met with the association members, there was an agreement between ourselves. The agreement was that, look, and truth be told, I understand the arguments that the Tipper Truckers were making in respect to the rates that they're requesting, because when you break down the $90 or $85 per ton, if a small truck, you're really talking about just over $500 per trip from Woodbridge Bay to the airport site. With a big truck, and not many people have big trucks outside of the loader, what they call Boeing, and maybe Anton Lavin and a couple others. Not many people have big trucks that can really transport the several bags of cement at one time. These are huge jumbo bags of cement. And so with the big trucks, you're talking about they will make about $1,800 per trip. And the reality is, from my perspective, I find that to be reasonable. But the challenge you had prior to this was that, obviously, when we seek advice on rates, we seek advice from the Ministry of Public Works on rates. And the quantity surveyor then had said that the rates that the contractors on the airport were offering were reasonable rates. As a matter of fact, he had indicated both for the transportation of tarish and the transport of cement, that what the contractors on the airport site were offering were higher than the going national rates. You understand what I'm saying? But the Tipper Truckers still felt that the rates would not meet the demand. The reality is most of these guys have older trucks, and if you're going to be transporting these things and making several trips back and forth, you're going to have a lot of challenges with older trucks. So even when many of them were transporting tarish from Anzime to the airport site or otherwise, there's a lot of breaking down of trucks because, after a couple of trips, these trucks will have difficulty in continuing. But the reality is there is work. The only issue is the contention. There is what is the best rate, or what is the rate that the People Truckers Association members would accept. And so we arrive at the $85 minimum, and with a top rate of $90 per ton. And I in fact wrote to the developers today, that's NMC, indicating that the government is in support of the rate that the tipper truckers are requesting. So I in fact have done that. But so the agreement I had with the tipper trucker executive this morning at my office was that they would accept the minimum 85 and the top end 90, and that they were going to clear the road. They were going to move the trucks. They raised the issue of the person who was arrested, and I said, look, I don't get involved in police work. If somebody is arrested, I do not know the circumstances of the person who is arrested, and that cannot form part of any agreement that the Prime Minister will have with anybody. I really don't get involved in police work at all. Contrary to what people think, I don't get involved in it. And I think they understood and they agreed on that. And they left my office with the agreement that they were going to clear the road. Obviously, there are some people who joined the protest who had no part in the protest. They found a truck, and some of them own trucks, and some of them were there, and encouraging or dissuading the truckers from moving. As a matter of fact, there were UWP operatives there who were threatening to puncture the tires of the truck if they tried to move. As a matter of fact, Curtis and listeners, this evening when the truckers were moving the trucks, there were people, bystanders, standards who were sending fire bombs at the trucks.
And that happened at Kinfield tonight.
Yeah, that happened at Kinfield tonight. They were sending fire bombs at the trucks. So these are not truckers, because a trucker would have wanted to burn his own truck. So the guys were in the vehicle, and somebody had to put on the police report. Had to seek safety. Because this could have been cleared long ago, but for bystanders who went there to foment the situation, to create a chaotic situation. When the typical truckers really came with intention just to draw people's attention to their concern. You understand what I'm saying? And so this is what happened. But there's work, and it's a matter of agreeing on a particular rate. And so this is a situation there. It's unfortunate that people their schools had to be cancelled, called off. People couldn't go to work. And so a lot of business people lost money today. And that is not what the society envisaged, that you cannot deny people the right to earn a living. You cannot deny people the freedom of movement, the right of freedom of movement. And so this is something that the police will have to deal with the matter in manner in which the police are required to deal with the matter in law. I'm not going to get involved in that. But just to say that we have created opportunity for work, and there's work, and the situation could have been, on the other hand, had the police not maintained the calm and the restraint.
Prime Minister, you're saying that an agreement was reached with executive members of the Tipper Truckers Association before they went back to Kinfield, and that agreement was reached this morning.
I met with them maybe after 10 or minutes to 10 this morning. I was in the office, And the people who represented the Tipper Truckers Association, I think Mr. Eric Emanuel is the new president, and we had Anton Laville who served as a president for some time, and Mr. Earl Loader, who is one of the largest heavy equipment operators in the country. So these are the three people who represented them, and I mean, all three gentlemen were respectful. They were forceful in their arguments. I thought they represented the interests of their members very well. It was a respectful discussion. I even joked with Mr. Lord and tell him, well, look, if I ask you for a hire and you charge me too much, can I come and block your house in Layu Park, in Layu Valley? You know. But it was a very respectful and cordial discussion. But you had ULP elements who were hoping that could spiral into a major issue and other parts of the country, because you hear people talking about they're going to block this place and that place and so forth, and the elements send fire bombs at the trucks. I mean, so we could have had a situation, Curtis, where several of these people's trucks, what earning their livelihoods for them, could have been burnt down today by fire.
Have these truckers, Prime Minister, have they been previously engaged at the airport site, and are they still engaged, some of these truckers?
Yeah, well, they were engaged. I mean, they were engaged to transport tariff, and some stuff, because I said, and we have to be, I think we have to be truthful with ourselves and transparent in our discussion. The reality is the quality of a lot of these guys' trucks. You know, I mean, some of the trucks have been modified in some way. They're very old in some cases, and these trucks, some of them cannot maintain the wear and tear. Outside of a loader and a couple of guys, there are many guys who have relatively new trucks or new trucks. Yeah, and I believe that this is where I believe that we need to work with them and to see what kind of special policy, like maybe what we do for the tourist boat, for the tourist operators, the taxi operators, special consideration for the boats and for the farmers, and to see whether we can have a special policy for these heavy equipment operators, the truckers, so they can buy newer trucks or new trucks, so that they can be more roadworthy and give the owners a longer lifespan to make money and to be able to pilot trade better. So the issue of the traditional cement and hauling of stuff. Yeah, and that's to say, you know, people talk about these agreements. All of these agreements that we sign, especially under the CBI or even monies from loans from the World Bank, there is in these agreements a carved out opportunity for local persons. This is why at the airport now, right, you have 503 workers. 243 are Dominicans, working full time on the site, directly on the site, on the airport site. So we do have in these agreements a special clause that makes it mandatory that there be local engagement. Okay, even on the World Bank projects, that local content must be part of these agreements. Now, sometimes at the end of the day, because it comes down now to negotiations. As I said to the contract, to the Tipper Truckers, I said to many people, I'm not the one who has to get involved in negotiating what your rates are or what the guy pays you. If I pay you more than market rate or below market rate or actual market rate, that is between yourself and himself. But if there is an impact, as has happened before, when they had issues, for example, with Mr. Gadakan on the East Coast Road, I intervened. You understand? And we got them to have a part on the East Coast Road, and I've intervened many times before. Government projects, with government project concern. So we've intervened. If there's an impasse, if there is no difficulty, men work and men have relationships. But if there's a breakdown, you understand, I intervene. But I was not aware that there was a breakdown in negotiations until a few days ago. And then I heard of this thing today. And so I've intervened, and I said to the guys and I said to the public, and I'm being very sincere about this. When I listen to the math and I love it, when you go down to what is the cost of an actual trip for the small trucks, and I think what they try to do, they explained to me, the people truckers, in respect to the rates, is that they try to see how best they can fit in the small trucks, because a 5-ton truck, I mean, if it can hold 2 jumbo bags, it can hold that's plenty. You understand? So they were trying to see how they can ensure that the small trucks, the 5-ton trucks, 5-ton, 6-ton trucks can be part of this, because this is so all of these trucks that the Chinese brought down for the airport project are brand new trucks, and if you look at these trucks today, you'll believe that these trucks are 25 years old. They're working, and so you really need to have very good roadworthy trucks to really sustain themselves on this hauling of material.
Did the truckers, Prime Minister, did they previously agree on a rate?
I believe what happened was that the Chinese offered to them of 48.52. They did not come to offer 75, and I believe that there was I believe that, from what I've been told, the people truckers had moved away from the negotiating table. Okay, they came back, and of course, Mr. Samuel Johnson, who is the CEO of the International Airport Development Company, was in touch with them. I've been trying to assist as well. As a matter of fact, they had a scheduled meeting for tomorrow with Mr. Samuel Johnson to further discuss their new offer, because there was a letter which was sent to Mr. Johnson, I believe, where they were making the counter offer. Okay, and the meeting was supposed to be held tomorrow with Mr. Johnson, as far as I'm told. Okay, so they back on the discussion table, and so when they came back, it went from $48.50 to $60. Okay, and subsequent to that $60 offer from the Chinese contractor on the airport, the turbo truckers indicated to me that they're now asking for $90. $90. And I said to them, look, if you're going to go move from 75 to 90, literally overnight, how do you explain the extra $15? And they start to explain to me, and I understand what you're saying, because you have to pay a driver, the wear and tear on the vehicle, the diesel, and of course somebody wants to make a little profit to be able to pay for the mortgage and to buy food and to pay the bills and so on. So there's some, in my view, there's some reasonableness in terms of the figure they're asking for, especially when you break it down to what it will be by way of an actual trip, what will be the cost of an actual trip. So from Woodbridge Bay to Westfield, I'd find something for a small truck. I'm a businessman, I'm a trucker, but just from a common sense layman's standpoint, it sounds to be reasonable to me.
Do you think the time may have come for new rates for the hauling of material, block, sand, and things like that?
I think so. Not only for hauling the material, but the sale of goods and services in Dominica generally, because sometimes you get the impression that people take up a price for you, depending on who you are, and almost like they have different numbers in the bag, and they put their hand in the bag and pull it out. I mean, for example, now, gone are the days when people used to charge you per trip for blocks. Now you're paying a truck per block. So we are just about to restart, to not to restart, but there's some people who made some commitments for houses in Canada territory and elsewhere. And so we're about to purchase a significant number of concrete blocks. And to transport one block from Corley Ho to the Canada territory, we'll be in charge of $1.50 a block. You understand? So imagine if we were to buy 50,000 blocks at one time and having to transport at $1.50, you do the math. You understand? It's a significant amount. But going days when I'm going to charge, okay, $300 or $400 for the hire. But so I think that there has to be the transport board and others who are mandated in law to deal with these rates and so forth. Need to, I think it's something that we may have to raise the private sector as well. Generally, I believe that there has to be greater transparency in terms of rates. To me, these rates should be publicized and available, even with regards to the sale of agricultural produce. You know, everybody is saying, okay, give me $10 for my tomatoes a pound, or give me $15. And then you are in the same market, you have 5 or 6 people selling the same tomatoes at different prices. You know, and I think that there has to be greater transparency. You know, back in the days, you know, the Ministry of Agriculture, Ministry of Trade would publish, you know, what agricultural products should be sold at. But we move away from this thing, and I understand it's a free market. I understand there's a phenomenon called demand and supply, and I understand all these things, and I understand that the cost of items of farm inputs or even you know spare parts in the case of truckers and so on have increased, and I understand all these things. But all of these things could be factored into the price or the cost of the service, and have this in publicized. So if I'm trying to transport a load of tariff or a load of sand aggregate from Corleo to Vegas, I will know, well, it's $250 or $300. But guys may charge me because I'm the Prime Minister, they may charge me $500. You know, same thing if you go to the market sometimes. Guys, you know, you just see a white person is a foreigner, they may charge you more than you go charge a local Dominican. And I think there has to be some discussion. And how do we go about addressing so that you don't have, every time you don't have this issue, that this is what you're going to be paying. To haul cement from Roseau to Marigot, to haul cement from Roseau to Grand Bay, Roseau to Portsmouth, Roseau to St. Joe, these are the rates. And of course, those communities that fall in between or in close proximity, as we do for petroleum products. When the cooking gas in Portsmouth is this price, in Vegas is that price, in Penville is this price, and so you know what the cooking gas should be sold in any village in Dominica, because you have a formula by which you arrive at the price that is resold to the consumer. So there's transparency in this, and I think this is where we have to go so that you don't have those situations where people have to negotiate the rates and people have to disagree or have a contention, and then you have protest action about these things. And I think this is something that I think that the country should really look at doing, so that each of us can go and say, this is the price, this is the cost, this is what you have to pay, this is because of a high. So if we've moved, we've moved, and there's been no announcement that we've moved from transporting blocks from higher to per block, or even cement. You can charge $2 or depending on where you're going to per bag of cement. You understand? So fertilizer, they charge you per bag to transport fertilizer these days. So how do we go about charging for these things so that there's more transparency and less confusion, less disagreement, and less contention, and everybody's happy? This is my rate, my brother. I'm prepared to pay for it. Let's go.
One of the issues I heard earlier today during the protest was that the truckers were saying that in the project between Loubier and Bagatelle, they've not been engaged. Would you know some about this?
Well, the engagement they're talking about is that they expect the government to come to discuss with them before the government goes about either developing the project or before signing the contract for the project. I don't think that is feasible. These contracts are tendered, these jobs are tendered. People have their prices. They do the market research on the prices, and they tender. And it is left to us now to negotiate. And the government cannot say, well, you who have the contract for Robert to Bagatelle, you should only give work to the Tipper Truckers Association. But what about the man from Grande who is not part of the Tipper Truckers Association? What about the guy from Loubier or from Bagatelle or from Fonseca or from Portsmouth who is not part of the Tipper Truckers Association? This is a democracy. People must not choose when they want Dominica to be declared democracy and when they do not want it to be declared democracy. This is a free market economy, and we have to understand this. And so the People Truckers Association doesn't have a monopoly in law on that they must get work. No. Because if they get work, there's nothing that says that they must give somebody else work. You understand? So yes, all Dominicans must eat, and that must be the mantra. The mantra shouldn't be People Truckers Association and then help other people who are not part of the association. There's no law that tells you that only People Truckers members can eat. No. An association is always better because it is easier for a contractor to speak to one entity rather than 25 or 75 different owners of different trucks. So we always encourage people to have associations. So that's why we believe that is a good thing to have a People Truckers Association. But the People Truckers Association is not the only entity which provides hauling and transportation services and excavation services in Dominica. There are people who are not part of this, and because you're not mandated or forced by law to be part of any association that you don't want to be part of. Understand?
So, based on your agreement with the People Truckers Association today, based on that agreement, you won't expect any further action on the road from them?
I don't know from them, because the point I'm making is that you have elements, UWP opposition elements, who will want to, use this as an opportunistic a moment to see where they can advance toppling of the government, because they will tell the People Truckers Association today that they should not live until the government goes. Is what I'm saying. And so the People Truckers Association or People Truckers members generally were well behaved, they were well behaved. The guys, they park the trucks contrary to law, so at that point. But in terms of their attitude and behaviors and so on, generally they well behaved. It really was the UWP sympathizers who came there and who were encouraging and even tried to mobilize food and drinks, hoping that they were going to be there for a few days, and knowing that it is a cruise season, right? And knowing that it is a Creole festival time when Dominicans make the most money, especially those in the hospitality and restaurant and business, taxi operators, vendors, and that time they make the most money. They would love to see that there's no Creole festival. They would love to see that cruise ships will be turning back because the guests can't go to the Emerald Pool or can't go to the Canago territory or can't go to the River Tubin at Pegua and at Concord. So this is what the UWP has in their mind, and they were using that as an opportunistic moment, hoping that this could stay there for a very long time and set the trucks on fire, as they're trying to do today, as elements of them are trying to do today with the fire bombs, and create this inferno, and to send a message in the world that Dominica is not a place you should visit, and have the U.S. and others declare travel advisory on Dominica. That's the modus operandi of the United Workers Party. So this is what it is, and but you can't change these people, and this is what they are. They're anti-Dominican elements and anti-progress, and they would love to see all of these projects and programs that the government has been engaging come to an end.
Prime Minister, just before we leave, in case some people are joining us now, explain again the agreement reached with the People Truckers Association earlier today. Well,
the agreement is that I agree with them that between $85 and $90, in my view, is something that the government will support, put on to transport the cement from Woodbridge Port to the airport site at Wesley. And then the agreement was that they would have gone in after 10 this morning, I believe, Minister 10. They would have gone back to Canefield and to remove the trucks. So that was really the gist of the agreement that we arrived at today. And of course, I'll have the opportunity to continue discussing it. They asked to see me, so I will see them after the independence celebration to have more further discussions with them on these and other things that may be affecting them or they have interest in.
And when is that agreement expected to come into force? Anytime soon?
Well, I said I wrote today to the developers indicating them that they should proceed with offering and accepting the request of the Tipper Truckers Association, and I'm hoping at the meeting tomorrow, and of course my staff and so on will follow up on this and see whether the Tipper Truckers are in a position to enter into an agreement.
It is 7 minutes after 9 o'clock. We're about to come to an end of this interview with the Prime Minister. But just before he leaves, though, I would like to ask him about widespread speculation, widespread debate in Dominica about a snap election due for Dominica very soon. Prime Minister, how do you respond?
Well, I am happy that there's widespread agreement in the country that a lot of things are happening in Dominica, notwithstanding the global situation and notwithstanding our own challenges, that people feel that the ground is ready and fertile for the sitting government to call an election. And one can only come to the conclusion if they believe and see and they agree that a lot is happening. Because people who always believe that when these things are happening, and I've heard the comment people will be like election coming because they're hearing projects starting here and this marina and the airport and extension of the runway and direct flights from New Jersey. The road from Grand Bay from Blue Bay to Bacatel. The road in the east is looking pretty. The road enhancement project, the several housing projects, the $20 million that I have just assigned to housing again. We signed 8 contracts on Friday. I'm looking to sign another 10 in the next few weeks to address some road works and edge failures across the country. We are waiting estimates for the resurface of the road from the roundabout the Pokase to Wadiab, with construction of several water crossings in that section of the road. So we tie it now with the Wadiab to Pigwa Road. So there are a lot of things happening. We were supposed to commission the irrigation project in Salisbury today, where 63 farmers will benefit from, and enhancing food security, enhancing food production, enhancing the opportunities for farmers in Salisbury to grow more and to have a greater harvest, and with greater harvest, more money into their pockets, and be able to provide more for their families. So there's so many things happening. We're building some 50 boats for fishermen that we're giving to fishermen at no cost to them to enhance their trade, and we're engaging. We government on the move. We're addressing issues people raise, and I think that I'm very happy to hear that there is almost unanimous approval of the work the government is doing. That there's as you're saying, there's widespread speculation that elections are imminent, and you can only say elections are on the horizon if you see things happening. And so I feel comforted by this, and I'm happy to know that at least the work of the government is recognized and appreciated.
but is Roosevelt Skerrit in election mode?
I don't know that. I mean, the party has a delegate for President Vickers on December 10th. So I am November 10th. So I'm preparing for that. And we continue to do what we have to do. The world is going through some huge challenges. The Russia-Ukraine war still going on. The Israeli conflict has extended. There's a concern that the Israelis may bomb the oil fields of the Iranian government. If that happens, one can understand what it means for the world. So the world now is in a very, very uncertain place. It's a very difficult world. It's a very hostile world. And I think sometimes our Dominican people don't understand what we have to do to navigate these external shocks. There's nothing we can do with this thing, but we have to find solutions to these problems created by other people. And of course, the issue of climate change. I mean, just with this storm there, we have to spend over $2.7 million to resurface the bayfront, because it was damaged by the storm surge caused by Hurricane Beryl. And we have to do some work at Caprice, and then many other areas that we have to do some interventions. So even if we don't talk about how much the impact of Beryl on us, because when you look at what happened in St. Vincent or Grenada, to go and tell somebody you are damaged of $30 or $40 million by Beryl, compared to other countries, we don't talk about those things. But we have to respond to the damage caused by Beryl as well. So climate change is a huge challenge, and but we continue to maintain all of the social safety nets in the country. We continue to invest in the economy, and with the $20 million that we are going to be spending from the Chinese government, I know we want to thank the Chinese government for making this money available to us. The monies are here, and then we're going to start rolling out. The several homes that we started have been completed, and of course, there's still a few people in Dominica with pit latrines, so we're going to move to eradicate those. And the people who had firm commitments from us to build homes for the families, and we're going to be starting those homes. And so there'll be some money being spent in the economy in the next several weeks and months, and creating employment for the truckers, for the local suppliers of building materials, and of course so many of the local contractors across Dominica will benefit from those investments. On top of all of these major national big-ticket item projects that are ongoing all at the same time, and of course we're negotiating the details of the agreement for the construction of the cruise ship village, and there's a full commitment from the investor. It will be a finance and build and operate arrangement, so there's no direct cost to the taxpayers of Dominica, but we benefit from this from the cruise village. And of course, I went to Miami and met with all of the cruise lines, the owners and the presidents and the CEOs of the cruise lines, and it was a very, very successful meeting, and certainly the cruise industry in Dominica is looking up.
It is
greater things.
It is 15 minutes after 9 o'clock. That's a brief interview there with the Honorable Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit. Mr. Skerrit, thank you very much. We have a lot more to speak about in the future, in the next coming days.
Just all you have to do is send me a WhatsApp, I'll show up. Okay, so anytime, any questions you have, feel free to ask them anytime. But thanks for having me on, and I hope I have brought some clarity to the discussion and the government's perspective on what transpired today. But we have to all work together. This is our country, and we have to continue to work together. And those who are bent on destroying the country and so on, they will remain in the minority, and they will remain where they are, out of the government for a very long time.
Thank you very much, Prime Minister.
Okay. Thank you.
The Honorable Roosevelt Skerrit. And I want to thank Dean Thomas and Joseph Fadul, my producers tonight, and we thank the listeners of Kyrie FM. Thank you very much. We'll be back with you. In fact, Dean, tonight, what do? We play some good cultural music for the rest of the night. Dean Thomas and Joseph Fadul, my producers this evening, we bring you some beautiful cultural music for the rest of the evening.
nation's number one